These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are here recording on Sunday, August 4th, and we are talking about Jay Scrubb. Jay Scrubb has signed an Exhibition 10 deal with the Boston Celtics, according to our friend Bobby Manning. Put it in his article for the Boston Sports Journal today that they'll bring him back on an Exhibition 10 deal, which is effectively just a training camp contract. Tristan Enaruna and Ron Harper Jr. have also signed those, so they'll be around for training camp as well. But Celtics originally brought in Scrubb after last year's Summer League, 2023 Summer League. He signed a 2-week deal with the team, but before the season started, tore his ACL, unfortunately, and wasn't able to play for the entire season. They obviously didn't keep him on. I think from what we heard, he did a little rehab with the Celtics throughout his time after that, but he'll be 24 in September. I'm just reading some tidbits from Bobby Manning's article, and the Celtics brought him in for training camp. So Scrubb is back in Boston for the time being.
Yeah, he was an impressive watch in the Summer League last year. He was probably way better than we expected. I know going into it, we were kind of critical, and we were like, he doesn't look like he passes the ball very much, and he needs the ball a lot to be successful, takes a lot of shots, etc. He did a good job playing in a little bit more of a low usage role with the Summer Celtics last year. He's really good. He's really athletic, great at getting to the rim. And when he was playing with the Celtics team, he was a pretty good connector too. Like, he passed the ball at a decent rate. I'm excited that he's going to have another opportunity with the Celtics. It's a very good thing that the Celtics are doing. Like you mentioned, feels like they let him hang out, rehab at their facilities and everything, despite his ACL tear at a very unfortunate time. Like, they still treat him as if he was a part of the organization, and this signing shouldn't come as a major surprise. I'm excited to see him play in Maine this year. I hope that he finds his footing a bit. I don't know if he's going to have a spot with the Boston Celtics. Feels like their roster's pretty populated. They have guys they like at all positions. They traded for Springer at the deadline too. So that's just another guard he's going to have to compete with as far as wings go. Celtics are super deep at that too. So there's not a ton of wiggle room for him to break into the rotation with the NBA Celtics. But again, Maine could be a great proving ground for him, especially after coming off such a big injury. We're going to get a good opportunity to look at him soon.
Yeah, he almost feels like the Jemias Ramsey of last year's Summer League, and there was just a bit more flexibility at the time, and so Jay Scrubb got that chance, and Jemias Ramsey probably won't end up getting that same chance. But in the Summer League last year, he played 5 games. He averaged 14.4 points, 3 rebounds, 1.4 assists, shot 46.3% from the field, 40% from deep. He's never been a great three-point shooter. That's kind of been the thing holding him back. He played JUCO ball. He didn't even go to a Division I school before joining the league, which is very, very rare, which is a cool tidbit as well about him. 6'4", shooting guard, wing type thing, like you mentioned. He's probably best fit for the 2-3, but he's been undersized to play a 3, but he's not necessarily like the best shooter to play the 2 or the 1, so it's kind of an awkward fit. It almost feels like, I think we've probably said this last year, that he could be a Javonte Green type player with a slightly better 3-point shot if it improves a little bit, which would be cool. It's fine. It just doesn't necessarily feel like the Celtics need that or have room for taking a chance on a guy like that. We can check out his Summer League highlights from last summer. Like you mentioned, he was one of the more fun guys to watch in Summer League at the time. And he was obviously rewarded with that 2-way contract because of it, but super active in the passing lanes, like you see here. It is weird to see the 2023 Celtics playing in this Thomas Mack in the Cox Pavilion because we were just there, but it feels like it was only it's just, it's the same thing every year. It is weird, also weird seeing like some of these players that we talked about for months, Justin Bean, Udoka Azubuike.
Banton.
I was sold on Justin Bean, man. I was all in. I don't remember that guy's name. The blonde guy. I don't remember him. I remember him, but I don't remember his name. Jay Scrubb and Jemias Ramsey are so similar. like thinking about it, like they're very, very similar players I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Scrubb does a really good job of getting to his left hand. Obviously very comfortable going that way as it's his strong hand, but his athleticism is something that he really benefited from during these games. So that's going to be something to keep your eyes on when he comes back, whether he's playing in preseason games, whether he's playing up in the G League. That's going to be a key factor in him getting back to where he's at. If he's not able to be quite as quick, quite as athletic as he was before the injury, it's going to be really tough for him to find a spot on any roster in the league. All these buckets are athleticism buckets. Obviously, the touch is important. Like, these are not easy shots he's making,
Yeah.
but his burst is what's really getting him by, and it's a great asset for him to have.
Mhm. He is crazy athletic. The defensive play is pretty solid as well. That was a crazy finish too. I miss Justin Champagnie. I like Justin Champagnie. I think he was a good player.
You
I'm
did?
just thinking of last year's team. I liked him. I guess I'll rephrase because I just think things and I don't flush them out. I liked him as a rebounder and a hustle guy, but you're right. As a complete player, he's not really there. He also just randomly came up to Bobby Manning at Summer League when I think I was with him and Noah, and Justin Champagnie goes, "Yo," and Bobby wasn't even paying attention, and he goes, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And they just had like a whole ass conversation. It's very funny. Jay Scrubb's cool. Like we've said time and time again, the shot actually looks pretty good there. It just doesn't feel like
Slow.
there's a real spot for him with the Celtics. Yeah, it is slow. I almost do wonder if they are holding sort of tryouts to, do we want to keep Drew Peterson and JD Davison around, or do we want to bring in, Jemias Ramsey, a Tristan Enaruna, a Jay Scrubb? If I had to place my bet, I don't think Jay Scrubb would pass Davison or Drew Peterson on any of the rankings. I don't think I'm not even including Anton Watson in the discussion because it feels like they really like him and he's obviously a rookie, so I don't think he would be cut in any way, shape, or form. If you had to rank Jay Scrubb, JD Davison, and Drew Peterson on keep them around and develop them, this is obviously before we seeing anything in training camp or summer league or
You want Ramsey there too,
like
or
that.
no?
Sure, yeah, throw Ramsey in there and throw Enaruna and Harper. Might as well. Just to give me your
All right,
quick
sure.
rankings.
Okay, I
I'll
would go
give you mine
Ramsey
as well.
1, Peterson 2.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become a part of the PrizePicks community today. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and you're locked in. PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Sam and I use PrizePicks all throughout the NBA playoffs as the Celtics were making their run. If you guys tuned into the pregame show, you saw it. We like Drew Holiday blocks. We always picked Jason Tatum to get a dunk. That was a lock for us. And we always picked less on the opposing stars' points. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Really?
JD 3.
Mhm.
Jay Scrubb.
So you'd cut JD Davison for Jemias Ramsey right now?
Yeah, I would. I thought Ramsey was really good, and he does like the thing about JD. Like JD does have intriguing parts to his game, but with the Celtics, you really can't picture him playing any minutes that are like, oh yeah, JD's going to be able to handle the ball and set his teammates up, which he does so well in Maine. Like Jemias Ramsey did a great job of just being like a cut, ready if needed guy, can create a shot in the situations where it's up to him. But if he's playing off the ball, he seemed like he was pretty comfortable. Like JD did look better. His jump shot looked really good in summer league for what it's worth. So like I shouldn't completely discredit him. But as far as like my feelings between those two, I just thought Ramsey was really great. He has more size than JD. He's definitely stronger, and he's someone you could put in a game and expect to hold their own on defense too, which I don't think Davison's like a scrub in any way, but I don't know if I trust him quite as much as somebody like Ramsey with that kind of build.
My only thing with Ramsey is obviously you have to understand that Summer League is you're playing for a tryout. It just seemed too many times it looked like he was pressing the issue. Like, and this isn't like I disliked him. I like Jemias Ramsey. I think he's a great player, and I think he's worth taking a chance on for some teams. But just sort of like if we're really like getting nitpicky and separating these players who realistically should all be on a similar level, they're all two-way players, et cetera, whatever. I just at some moments it looked like he was trying, like the beginning of that Lakers game. He was trying too hard. He didn't pass the ball. He was trying to make something for himself, and he had like 3 turnovers in the span of 2 minutes. Like little things like that. And I just think if you account for the time JD Davison has spent within the organization, the relationships he's built, and how they've invested in him clearly now for a third two-way contract, I think I'd rather have that. That said, I might rather have a Jemias Ramsey or Jay Scrubb over Drew Peterson. I think that would be more of the debate for me. Ron Harper, Tristan Enaruna, I didn't really see enough from either of them to like throw them in the conversation, unfortunately.
Probably
And
playing
if I had to pick one, maybe Ron Harper. Tristan Enaruna really didn't impress me. He didn't get a chance, but I don't know. I think JD Davison, if the shot comes around, I think you could see a world where he plays a little bit more minutes, especially with Jrue Holiday getting older. You could use him as like a third guard, even though that could be Springer's spot to take at this point if he continues to impress because he's a little bit bigger. I just don't think you'd want to give up on the development process that's been going on for 3 years. But I don't know. Maybe. I'd probably just keep Jrue and JD over these guys. None of them impress me. And I think if you're gonna if you were gonna bring someone in, I'd want it to be either an elite shooter or an elite like connector, Derek White type. Obviously not Derek White, but like it feels like Jay Scrubb and Jemias Ramsey are almost like not the best shooters, but they can do a lot of things really well. And JD Davison is, not the best shooter, but he's a great playmaker and stuff. I'd want somebody who is either sort of this ebb and flow connecting guy who is a solid shooter at the very least. Like they've got to be able to shoot the ball. And I know I get like shit on from the comments all the time for this, but if you're going to be a role player on the Boston Celtics, you have to be able to shoot the ball, point blank period. There's no there's no question around it. Like you have to be able to shoot the ball if you want any semblance of chance at getting real minutes on this team. Look at the guys who didn't really crack the rotation last year. O'Shea Brissett can't shoot, right? You go down the line of guys. Springer can't really shoot right now, and so
couldn't.
We'll see. Jordan Walsh, right? Like it's tough, and so I think if you're going to replace JD Davison or Drew Peterson, who is a pretty good shooter, you need somebody who can shoot the ball, and I think that's what you'd have to look for in Scrubb and Jemias Ramsey really aren't that, even though you've seen progress from both of them. You need to see a bit more sustained or a better track record if you're going to cut ties with somebody who you've been developing for 3 years and have invested all this time in. So I think that's where I'd be at. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not crazy at all. I think that they've definitely shown not only like an interest in him, but a commitment to him. He's played pretty well up in Maine. Like the Maine Celtics this year obviously went to Game 3 of the G League Finals. He was a big part of that. He's a star up there at the Maine Expo, or Portland Expo rather. At the same time, like it feels like Springer has cut him in the line, and it feels like Ramsey is a different type of player than those two. Not so much that Springer needs the ball in his hands either.
Jemias Ramsey's the same as I think he's the same as Springer. I think they're very extremely similar players.
So you would rather have like the different layer,
a shooter. I want a shooter, like somebody. I want a Pritchard.
Well, neither one of those guys are really shooters.
Exactly. And so if you're going to cut ties with JD Davison, like my whole thing is like, if you're going to bring development guys on the roster, spread out who has what elite skill. Drew Peterson is in theory an elite shooter, right? He's sort of like a do it all kind of guy, whatever. Anton Watson and Xavier Tillman could be Al Horford, ideally, hopefully. In an ideal world, they can help replace some of those Al Horford minutes. JD Davison's an elite playmaker. Like point blank period is an incredible playmaker. He just is. Jaden Springer, great defender. Really good defender. Sort of a off-ball cutter type of guy. That's kind of what Jemias Ramsey and Jay Scrubb do. They utilize their athleticism. They're maybe they're a little bit different, and their elite skill is athleticism. But as I've said on here before, I think athleticism is the most overrated NBA thing. They're all fucking athletic. Are you kidding? At what point are we measuring athleticism? Like, what's the difference between an elite athlete versus a normal? I'd rather have somebody who is an elite shooter, an elite, playmaker, an elite connector, an elite defender than an elite athlete. Because that doesn't what does that get you in a league where everyone is the best at what they do? Like, name me one elite athlete that's not also elite at something else that is like a top tier player in the NBA.
A top tier player in the NBA,
like an all-star. Name me an all-star who got there by just being an athlete.
Well, it's really like you could say the same about shooting. If that's the only thing they bring there. I mean, like I agree with you.
Name
Like
me an athlete
athleticism,
who's getting paid 15+ million a year just to be an athlete.
just to be an athlete.
Not an elite shot blocker, not an elite rim protector, not an elite lob threat, just to be an athlete. And maybe you could say, oh, that's what those guys
Well,
do, but not
those
at
things
six,
kind of
not
come
at
along with
6'4".
that.
So Jay Scrubb's an elite rim protector and lob threat.
No,
Exactly. So I'm saying, like, name me that type of guy, like a sub 7-footer, sub center.
how much did Derek Jones get paid this summer?
Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. I remember my dad taking me to Fenway Park as a kid, getting to watch David Ortiz and Dustin Pedroia sitting in the Green Monster and taking in all there is to love about the iconic ballpark. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Taking a look at my Game Time app right now, I see plenty of great deals to watch my favorite sports teams and my favorite tickets to Noah Khan. You guys know that's my favorite artist. I even used it while in Las Vegas for Summer League to get tickets to a women's basketball game. Some of my favorite features in the Game Time app include letting me see what the price is going to be with fees included. It makes so much easier to take a look and see what the actual price I'm going to pay is. Also, you get to see exactly where you are sitting. It's a great way to know exactly the experience you're going to get. I also love the fact that you can get great last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, or anything else. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Sure, that's a good example. But then even then,
He's
what
taller than
happens?
Jay Scrubb. He was exposed in the finals.
He's 6'6". He's 6'6", and he didn't get brought back because they wanted to prioritize shooting, right? Like, I get it. And there's a market.
You're not
but
crazy.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I think
Defense is
athleticism
also
super
important,
underrated.
though. Like,
Defense is absolutely important.
so,
And
like, shooting.
if you want to point to that, exactly, Derek Jones Jr. was their best defender throughout that entire playoff run.
Well,
and
not
so-
even him. Just going back to the Celtics, like you said, you cannot play for the Celtics if you can't shoot. Fact.
Mhm.
You also cannot play for the Celtics if you can't play defense.
100%. I agree with you. 100%.
Like that's why
they're
Steve didn't
so
see
great.
time.
But even then, I think it's easier to play for the Celtics if you can shoot and can't play defense than vice versa, though.
I think it's about the same. I think they need to trust you on both ends before you get real rotation minutes, especially with Joe.
Pritchard and Hauser. Like,
Hauser's
they're
a
not
better
bad
defender than
defenders.
people give credit for, and Pritchard always will fight.
But the fact that I'm not saying they're bad defenders, but the fact that they are in the rotation
they're like average defenders.
Exactly. You don't see any average shooters in the rotation who are really good defenders. Right?
Tatum.
Stop. Like, seriously. You know, exactly, though. Like, so as cool as Scrubb and Jamias Ramsey are, they feel like send them to a team that is, I don't know, that can give them some developmental minutes, help them work on their shooting, and get them real run in the NBA where they can show off the rest of their skills, like the Nets or the Wizards or Spurs, or even like a fringe playoff team who could use to take a chance on an athlete who is probably, you know, a solid defender and they just need bodies, like the Kings or a, you know, Pistons if they want to take a chance, or a Hornet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need somewhere where they can actually get playing time in a team that's worth the investment. And I just don't see that being Boston. That said, good for Jay Scrubb. Happy he's healthy. Happy he's back playing basketball. Hope he gets a chance somewhere, because he was genuinely really good in the summer league stint. Like, he looked really impressive. And just because I'm on this rant of shooting, blah, 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 all this stuff, need to spread out the skills, doesn't mean he's not a good player and deserves a chance somewhere, because that's not the point I was making. I'm just saying I don't think that place is the Celtics, because they've built a system and a rotation and a structure that is so conducive to their brand of basketball and clearly works after winning Banner 18, that I just don't necessarily think those would be the most ideal fits. And honestly, JD Davison probably isn't either, but they've developed him and spent so much time with him that I think I would take that relationship over bringing in another guy who might not be the perfect mold. So that's just kind of where I was at. But
The thing is, like, I would hate to be any of those guys trying to, like, the Celtics are the worst team to be tied to if you're trying to make it in the NBA, unless you
Yep.
are the perfect guy.
Unless you're
Like,
elite
unless you're
at
like
a thing
Anton
that they can
Watson,
use.
who
Yep.
has a clear avenue to where he's supposed
Or
to
Bailey
be.
Shireman, or somebody who is perfect for what they do.
Even Shireman, like, he is very well fitted to fit into the Celtics, but at the same time, like, it's not going to be easy. Like, he's competing with like Sam Hauser. They just extended Hauser. Like, when they drafted Shireman, and we were all like, he's up next. Like, they hadn't paid Hauser yet.
I don't think he's competing
different than
directly with
Hauser. He's not
Hauser.
exactly
Yeah.
the same. But at the same time, how much ball handling responsibility do you think Shireman will have? Like,
Not much, but I almost think he fits. This is going to sound like an egregious comp, and I'm going to walk it back immediately with an explanation. I almost think he fits more in the Derek White offensive category of being able to be a shooter and a connector, where Hauser is just purely a shooter. Like, Shireman's going to cut off the ball, grab a rebound, pass to somebody else, handle it for like 30 seconds, or not 30 seconds, obviously, but you know what I'm saying? Like a couple seconds and make another pass from there. Like, I think he can be more of that connector while also providing the shooting and also the occasional shot creation. Like, Hauser's incredible not creating his own shot. Shireman can create his own shot a little bit. And so I think having that makes him more of a, like, if you're, those like descriptions in 2K of what the player is, he's more like an offensive connector rather than a Hauser catch and shoot, whatever, specialist. And so I agree with you in terms of like positions. He's probably competing with Hauser a little bit, but I do think there's a world where they coexist. And I think the Celtics went into the draft this year picking guys they think could fit with their long-term roster. And I think Shireman does that because he can probably play a little guard and forward, and Hauser doesn't really do that. But like, to your point, it's impossible to get in with the Celtics team unless they specifically select you. But yeah, anyways, let us know what you guys think of Jay Scrubb, who we talked about for probably 5 minutes of the 20-minute video. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Leave a like, subscribe, and all that same. Take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily content. We have Celtic stuff all summer long, despite there not being much going on. We're here for you. We have you covered. Videos every morning at 5 a.m., full pods Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, game recaps the morning after each game, and other videos in between. We are also on Spotify and Apple. If you follow us there, all pods and game recaps will go right to your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very much. The email is on the screen, hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's the address to send in your thoughts. We'll read them on the pod. We love to hear from you guys. You guys are a huge part of the show, so definitely email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Socials are at How About Them C's. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook's the name of the pod. Streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jackson NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.